This here is Canon EOS R, the latest mirrorless from Canon. This is a full-frame mirrorless camera. It has sensor of 30 megapixels, which is basically the same as found in EOS 5D Mark IV. Beside this camera, you probably are interested what is this huge lens on the camera. This is 28-70 f2 zoom lens. This is a lens with which Canon pushes the boundaries of what is actually possible to make in optical design. A lens such as this never existed before, and so far there is not a single competitor for this lens. What I can tell you right away, this lens is absolutely stellar. It is sharp and contrasty, even wide open at f2.I. It is unbelievably good. It is also very big and expensive, but you get what you pay for. In a way, we can think about this camera as a mirrorless version of 5D Mark IV. It shares the same sensor, which means the same image quality, pretty much all the same features, menu system, etc. Also, ergonomics is pretty much perfect, but I expected nothing less from Canon. Grip is well shaped, it is deep enough and tall enough for all my fingers to hold it. It has all the manual controls, twin dials, and many of the buttons are fully customizable. One thing this camera has, but 5D Mark IV doesn't, is the articulated LCD screen. This is great stuff for video recording, especially for video logs, because you can see yourself while you are filming. One of the reasons to buy this camera instead of 5D Mark IV is the fact it uses electronic viewfinder. It has excellent quality, but it brings many novelties compared to optical finder found on 5D Mark IV. For example, you can see straight away how the image will look, exposure, and you can nail manual focus pretty much perfectly thanks to focus magnification. Of course, this is available also on 5D Mark IV, but only on a non-articulated LCD. Here you have articulated LCD and electronic viewfinder. Only thing I don't like regarding ergonomics on this camera is this touch bar on the back side. I can see Canon tried to be innovative with this, but I don't think it's working. To be honest, I actually haven't figured it out. It is supposed to work with swiping left and right and touch and hold, but sometimes, as you can see, it responds, sometimes doesn't. I think they should have used classic joystick like on 5D Mark IV. Image quality from EOS R is pretty impressive. Since this camera uses the same sensor as 5D Mark IV, images have very high quality. In my opinion, this camera is usable even up to ISO 25600. Of course, this is subjective, but I think Canon made a really good job with this sensor. Also, color rendering is quite good, and my only complaint is maybe a bit weaker dynamic range compared to Sony, Nikon or some other competitors with more modern sensors. Video quality is already quite good in Full HD resolution, but especially in 4K this camera shines. It has excellent detail rendering, colors are splendid, and the video looks very nice. One of the main reasons to get this camera for video is dual pixel autofocusing. In my opinion, this is still the best focusing system on the market. It has no problem locking focus, tracking faces, and also works quite good in low light situations. On the back you can see LCD screen with 3.2 inches diagonal. It is fully articulated and has around 2 million dots. That means it has excellent viewing quality and viewing angles. I had no problems using it even in bright sunlight. One of the best details is this fully articulation. You can turn it around for video logs. It has integrated touch function which works without problems. It is very precise and detailed and works for all the camera functions. Maybe it's weird that I need to mention that, but for example Sony Alpha 7, Alpha 9 do not have such good touch screen integration. On Canon you can use it for absolutely every aspect of the camera, menus, focusing, playback, and on Sony you cannot. It doesn't work for menus, you can only use it for focusing. Above the LCD you can see electronic viewfinder. It is very high quality, it has around 3.5 million dots, and viewing experience is among the best on the market. EOS R uses the same battery as many Canon DSLRs. This is the LP-E6 unit, which is used in 5D series, 7D, 70D, 80D, 6D. All of the high-end Canon DSLRs use it. In EOS R, this battery provides around 500 shots, and that's a very good result for a mirrorless camera. Images and videos are recorded on SD memory card. This camera supports the highest UHS-2 speed, which can go as high as up as 300 megabytes per second, and you will need such a fast card if you intend to record 4K videos. On the left side you can see connectors. EOS R has everything that you might want: microphone input, headphones output for video recording. Also it has remote control input, HDMI output, and USB 3.0 Type-C connector. I'm very pleased with menu system. It is identical as in Canon SLR models. That means options are color-coded in different tabs. It is very easy and fast to navigate, and the same can be said for quick menu. Just go up and down and then left to right to select an option. It is hard to make anything better than this. Of course, there is not a perfect camera, and EOS R has some disadvantages. First of all, I think they could have made video even better. When you record in 4K, camera applies a very strong crop, 1.7 times, which can mess with your recording. For example, if you are switching from photo to video, 1.7 crop in video mode will require you to move much further back to get the same framing. Also, this camera does not have Ibis in-body stabilization. Many competitors have it. Nikon Z6, Z7, all the Sony models have it. All the smaller sensor models from Fuji, Olympus and Panasonic have it. So it beats me why Canon didn't implement it in this camera. The way it is now, you only rely on stabilization in a lens if you use a stabilized lens, or you will need to use a gimbal. Professional users may also object to memory card. It has only one slot. For recording anything of great importance for which you are paid for example weddings, you will want two memory cards to record simultaneously to have backup. This camera doesn't offer it, so in this case I think it is better to stick to your 5D Mark IV if you have it already. I also need to mention this touch bar. In theory it sounds great, swipe left and right to change value and tap left and right to instantly jump to a certain function. But in real life this touch bar is weird. Sometimes I would overshoot the setting I wanted, sometimes I wouldn't go enough. Also tapping, if you do not tap directly from straight up, it will register swipe movement, and therefore after maybe 1 or 2 hours I completely deactivated it and didn't use it anymore. I think Canon would have made a better camera if they just used a simple joystick. Finally, a weird limitation on this camera is battery charging inside the camera. On paper it does support it, but you will need to buy a dedicated Canon charger which costs somewhere around $200. That's way too much. I tried charging it with some generic smartphone chargers, and the camera didn't respond at all. Altogether, I'm very pleased with the EOS R. For their first full-frame mirrorless model, this is very good. They have managed to make a camera that is very easy to handle with excellent ergonomics. Basically, they have kept the feel and functionality of their DSLR models in a smaller package. Altogether, maybe I wouldn't recommend selling your 5D Mark IV and buying this one instead, but having both at the same time, that's something different. Actually, I think you might even use this one more because it is lighter, smaller, with same image and video quality, so good job, Canon. That's all for this review. Subscribe, like, and see you in another review.